So a while ago, my favorite local video game store closed down, and the woman that ran it just gave me 4 broken consoles, and this was one of them. This is an original Xbox, and I don't really know what exactly all was wrong with it. The other 3 consoles, 2 of them I could test, and they were like very minor issues, like the one PS3 wouldn't read discs, then the Xbox 360 didn't really have anything wrong with it. I'm still using it as my main Xbox 360, so I don't know, why they were in there. Maybe they just weren't testing them right or something, but anyways, the only thing so far is that when you turn it on, it is really, really loud. See, I don't know if you can hear that. If you can't, turn up the volume. For comparison, let me plug in my other Xbox. Alright, so on top of the other Xbox, this is the quiet Xbox. You hear the hard drive, it's blinking, complaining there's no AV connection, which there isn't, but you can definitely tell it's a lot quieter. Now granted, this is a 1.6 and this is a 1.0, so like the first model and the final model, like the final revision, so that might have something to do with it a little bit. I don't know, maybe the 1.0s just were really noisy. It's the only one I've ever owned, the 1.0s, so maybe that's it. But either way, we're going to do some things. We're first going to try to fix that noise as much as we can. We're going to remove the faulty clock capacitor if it hasn't already leaked all over the board. And we're going to softmod it, flash the TSOB. And finally, we're going to be installing a larger capacity hard drive. Alright, the first thing we have to do, of course, is open it up. So we're going to have to remove some screws on the bottom. They're all Phillips head, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 under the pads. And then there are a couple other ones underneath the labels. So there's one right there, and then of course there's one, you can kind of see the little indent. So of course, since the labels aren't messed up or peeled up, we can tell nobody's been inside of this, which is good since we know that no one's tampered with it. There's no chance of me finding missing parts or missing screws, or things not being reassembled properly. But on the other hand, though, we also know that the clock capacitor is still inside of here. It hasn't been removed, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. But anyway, I'll just remove the screws right now, and I guess now's the time to show off my new screwdriver set. This is from iFixit. They're not sponsoring me or anything, though, at the time of this video. I wish, but they're not. But yeah, it's got all kinds of bits, pretty much everything I think I'd ever need. Alright, so these just kind of peel up like that. Just kind of get underneath them with a fingernail or a flat head or something, and you can just kind of peel them apart way, remove the screw, and just kind of let them go back down like that, just so you don't lose them. So yeah, I'm just going to do that to each one of these 4. Alright, so all 4 of the corner screws have been removed. Now we're just going to focus on the labels. So you can just kind of peel it up, but I think it looks nicer if you just kind of bore a hole like right in here. You can use like a blade or a needle or whatever, but you can also just push the screwdriver bit in there. Oops. It's not the greatest, but it works. And these are always long screws, like the console equivalent of deck screws. But alright, with those 6 screws removed, you now just turn the Xbox over and lift up the top shell here. And it will be a little bit harder to do since I already partially lifted it up just to make it easier to pull off while filming. And you can just set the top part of the case aside. We won't be needing it. Alright, so I kind of wiped off the disk drive and the hard drive since they were both kind of dirty. I'll clean them more later, but for right now we're going to remove this cable here, the IDE cable from the hard drive. Just kind of pull it out carefully, and then just like that, just move it out of the way of this little thing here. And we're also going to have to remove the power cord for it. Alright, I got it out. So, and then just kind of deroute it through all this here. And now we're going to have to remove this one. It's a T10 Torx screw, as are I think most of the internal screws in here. So you're going to need a smaller bit than the one you used for the screws on the outside. But I'm just going to remove that one right now. And with it free, you should just be able to remove like this whole kind of enclosure around the hard drive. But I'm going to do it 2 hands, so I'm not going to be able to film it. And then don't forget to deroute the cable to this last little like opening here. I just did it 2 hands since it's a little bit tricky, but you'll get it. So this is, I believe, an 8 GB hard drive. All the original Xboxes had, and so I'm going to be replacing it with a larger drive since it's like $10. You should be able to find one. It's not a SATA drive; it's an IDE drive. So you're gonna have to make sure you get an older hard drive. And then you could also use flash storage. You could get like an IDE to SATA adapter and use an SSD in here if you wanted. But I don't really feel like spending $60 to even $200 and some dollars if you want like a really big SSD. On this machine. When I mod my own 1.6 Xbox, I'll probably go ahead and put like a 120 GB SSD in it. But just for this, I'll probably end up getting like a 160 GB IDE. But that'll have to wait for later. I've got to continue with the rest of the disassembly. And you can also see it's pretty dirty, of course, but I kind of expected it to be. So now we're just going to remove this disk drive. So we've got a couple screws right there, right there. So we're just gonna go ahead and remove those right now. The next thing you want to do is disconnect these 2 cables coming into the disk drive. So we've already done this before. It's just like on the hard drive, that one, and this one's for power, I believe. All right. So with the cables disconnected and the screws removed, we're ready to lift out the disk drive. And again, it's going to be a little bit harder than this since I already partially removed it, just so I could do it while filming. It's pretty dirty on the bottom, but yeah, you can set it aside. It is. It's always real nice. A dead bug in here. I don't see any live ones though, thankfully. But anyways, next thing you're going to want to do is unplug this cable here for the 3rd time. There you go. And I guess you can just leave this if you want. You can remove it. And before I go any further, I'm just going to plug it in and test it just once more, just to see, make sure I should be able to hear this a lot better. Make sure that it is a fan that is loud and not the disk drive or the hard drive or something else. So I'm just going to try that now. Alright, here it goes. So yeah, it's definitely one of these fans. I just need to figure out which one it is. Might even be both of them, but I don't know. Sounds kind of like it could be that one. Let me disconnect one of them. So I'll disconnect this one, this fan. Yeah, that sounds pretty normal to me. So it should be this fan that needs to be replaced, or possibly just service, I don't know. So yeah, I'll see what I can do about that. Some might say to just remove it, but I really don't think that's such a good idea, at least not without replacing it with a different heatsink. Alright, so it's good that we've isolated this as the source of the noise, but for right now I just want to remove the motherboard. So we're just going to be disconnecting a bunch of connectors. I'm just going to remove this after all. I guess it's not entirely necessary. This has already been removed. Pull this connector, flip it out of its socket. Got this one for the controller ports, like that. We'll just do this one here. Right. Took a lot more force than it looked, but now we have to remove this cable here. Oops. There we go. Oops. And I accidentally disconnected this board, but oh well, it'll be alright. Looks like, yeah, if you wanted to, it just kind of plugs into these 2 little ports here, the black ones, not the white one there. So yeah, just set it aside. Alright, so now we're going to have to remove some screws, and it looks like, I can't tell if that capacitor's, this one right here is the clock capacitor, I believe. And I can't really tell if it's been leaking or not. There's a lot of like dirt and dust around it. I also kind of messed with it a little bit, moved dust around to try to read some of the numbers, just make sure I was looking at the right one. But anyways, there's a bunch of these the torque screws here. 1 there, 2 there, 1 more over there, there, and this is a 1.0 Xbox, so everything's gonna be different on here. you know, where the connectors are at, where the clock capacitor is, where the screws are. So if you have a different model, then it's not going to work for you. But anyway, so we've got one more there, and you know, there might even be some that I missed. But just look around and just try to remove any of them you see. Try to remove the board. If it still gives you trouble, look harder, you know, because they're everywhere. Alright, so I counted 11 screws taken out. So now we're just going to just grip the board, just anywhere the heatsink is good. Just kind of pick it up and pull it out this way. There we go. And yeah, we can see more dirt there. Looks pretty filthy. We'll get out the rest of this later, but for right now, I'm just gonna focus on the board. Alright, so the board is just absolutely filthy, obviously. So before I go any further, I'm just going to go outside and very, very gently brush off as much dirt and dust and everything as I can from the board. So this might not be the very best way to remove dirt and dust from a board, but I've never had any problems with it. You know, if you're not gentle, you can break off these, you know, any of these little components. You want to be really careful, but you know, it's always gone well for me, so I'm just gonna go do that right now. Alright, so the board looks a little bit cleaner. Obviously, the toothbrush is pretty big. I wasn't able to get into a lot of small little places, but I was able to brush off a lot of the dirt. Except for the dirt around this clock capacitor. It's kind of sort of sticking. It's like the clock capacitor is leaking, the dirt is kind of sticking to like the juice of the capacitor that's leaking. So I'm probably just going to have to remove, I'm obviously going to have to remove the clock capacitor, and then I'm just going to clean with alcohol around it. Like I've already kind of done a little bit, but it'll be easier when it's just not there. So got the soldering iron heated up, and it should be pretty easy to remove. I've already done it on another Xbox, so let me see, Unfortunately, and without even realizing it, I moved the board towards me so it'd be easier to work on, but at the same time I moved it outside of the view of the camera. So that means that all the footage that I have of me doing anything related to the board are no good. That includes me desoldering the capacitor, and later when I set up the board for a TSOP flash, I don't have any good footage of that. So I might just do a standalone video just on how to do this for yourself later, but yeah, for right now, I just don't have any good footage of it. So if you need help with that, you're going to have to find another video elsewhere. Okay, so as you can see, the clock capacitor has been removed. So I'm just going to take a rag and some alcohol and just clean all around it and wait for it to dry for a little bit. And then I'm going to connect it up to the power supply and just make sure it still powers on, and connect to the TV and make sure I still get an image out of it. And it's going to give you an error message if you try to start it up without the hard drive or the disk drive, of course, but you know, at least you know it powers on and it's able to display a picture. I cleaned it up a little bit. You kind of want to do the best job you can here, just because you don't want the acid from the capacitor to keep continuing eating into the board. And you can see here the damage is pretty minor, which is kind of surprising because this is one of the first Xboxes, you know, they ever made. This is like 2002, I think this one was produced or manufactured. But yeah, I'm gonna clean a little bit over here, I guess. But yeah, you can see. And here is the capacitor itself. You can see the bottom of it. It's not really too damaged, too bad. If I just saw this on a board, I wouldn't think of anything of it, you know. But because I know where it's at, you know, I don't want to remove it. And you don't actually have to replace it with anything. You can replace it with another capacitor. You can, I think, even replace it with a battery if you want. Kind of like how the GameCube uses the clock battery. But I'm not going to do that. It's not necessary. Alright, so I got it all connected up with power and TV. And connected the two fans. You can definitely hear this one. Then you're going to need power, and you're also going to need to connect the control board up here, so that's on. And yeah, just as I said, it's giving me an error. I think 7 is no hard drive. That's probably what it is, so yep. Worked just fine. Remove the right capacitor. I also need to open up this disk drive and clean the lens off with an eyeglass cloth and some rubbing alcohol. So it looks like there's just 4 Phillips head screws all around it, so I'm just going to get those now. Okay, I also lifted this up partially, but you can see it's pretty dirty. Especially like there and there, so I'm also going to get that and then clean off the lens there. Alright, that looks a lot better. Again, it's not perfect, but better than it was, I think. Okay, next thing we're going to do is remove the power supply. So there's a screw there, and there's one up there. Just gonna remove those, and then you should be able to take it right out. Alright, I pulled it out of the case. So now I just gotta do the same thing, just go outside and brush it off with a toothbrush and get most of all this gunk off of there. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is remove these two boards. We're just gonna take off the screws, and then they should just again pull right up. So with these two components removed, I've got this about as disassembled as I want it to be. I'm not going to bother removing like the board in here or the fan. They just don't need to be moved. And I'm just going to go again, just kind of brush out all this dirt outside, and then we'll bring it back. Alright, I think I've got it clean enough. The idea was never to get it perfect, you know, just cleaner than it was. And same with this. Neither of them are perfect. Still a little bit dirty, but, you know, it's fine. Next thing I'm going to do is remove this fan and have a look at it. So it looks like there's 4 screws on the corners here, and I just need to unplug it again. I plugged it in, and I'll just take a look at it. So I just took out the screws and lifted it up, and it is absolutely filthy. I wonder if it would be quieter just by removing all this gunk in here, possibly, but I'll just have to see. So I'll just clean all this off outside again. Probably should have done this while I was cleaning the board the first time, but I guess I just overlooked it. Yeah, so yeah, after cleaning it, it's still pretty loud. So I think I got it about as quiet as I'm gonna get it. I put some olive oil like on the fan, tried to get it like inside of it, and spread it around with my fingers, and it works decently enough. You know, I'm not really worried about it. You know, any like liquid damage, because the oil is a terrible conductor. It sounds a lot different than it did, and I'm gonna have the hard drive and the disk drive in there too, so that'll kind of dampen the sound a little bit. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of put everything back together again without screws, and we're going to run a Softmod so I can take out the board again and do a TSOP flash, which I probably should have soft-modded at first, but I was so eager to try to fix this problem, I just kind of took everything apart. So before we actually get to the soft-mod, you're going to need a few things. First of all, you're going to need a flash drive. Apparently, the original Xbox is kind of finicky about like what flash drives it wants to work with. They have to be a certain capacity. I think 4 gigs or under. They have to be made by certain brands, and there's certain models. It's just kind of a mess. There are some compatibility charts out there and information you can look to online if you want to do this, but this one right here is a 4 gigabyte Cruiser Blade by SanDisk, and I'll leave a link to this in the description, and hopefully when you're watching this video it'll still be good. eBay links change, you know, but this I paid $9 for, which I didn't think was terrible, so I'll just be using that. It should work just fine. That's what was recommended to me by the modding community. I also heard you can use a PSP as a USB flash drive for original Xbox, but I'm not too sure about the details of that. Second, you're going to need a copy of Splinter Cell. And there are actually a couple of other Xbox games that will work with this exploit, but Splinter Cell right now is the easiest and cheapest to come by. It's like $4 for a complete copy, so we're just going to be using that. And plus, it's a pretty good game in its own right. It's, I have to say, one of my favorite stealth games, if not my favorite stealth game, the original Splinter Cell. And then we're going to need a Xbox controller to female USB adapter, just so you can plug the flash drive into the console and recognize it as a memory card. And that's all. But wait, what's this? Oh, it's the Platinum Hits version of Splinter Cell, the one that won't work with modding, right?
A copy of Splinter Cell, and it has to be an original version, not a greatest hits version or anything else.
Now, the nice thing about Splinter Cell is you can get any copy of Splinter Cell from what I understand. It could be an original copy, it could be a Platinum Hits version.
First up, we're going to need a black label copy of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
And you have to make sure that if you're using Splinter Cell that it's a non-platinum edition.
Some people say the Platinum Hits version of Splinter Cell will work just fine for the mod. Some people say you can't use it, and I'm kind of getting tired of hearing it without any concrete information to back it up either way. So today I'm going to be using this version instead of this version, just to finally get an answer on whether you can use the North American Platinum Hits version of Splinter Cell for the exploit. So I turned on the console, got to the dashboard, went to memory, and then plugged in the flash drive. Let's say memory unit 2A, the memory unit you inserted isn't working correctly, it's been erased. which is apparently normal and what you want it to say. So anyways, here's what it thinks is a memory card, and that's what we're going to use to put the installers on so we can actually get this soft modded. You're going to plug it in your computer. It's going to ask you if you want to format it again, select no or cancel, because that's not what we want to do. And then you're going to go to a link I'm going to provide in the description, and you're going to download this file here, Softmod Installer Deluxe. It'll originally be in a zip folder. You're going to extract it somewhere. It doesn't really matter where, just somewhere, you know, on your hard drive. And then open it, and you're going to be presented with a bunch of, it's going to look like this. Not the two top files, that's something that I did. And you're going to find, first of all, what game you want to use. You can use 007, Mech Assault, or Splinter Cell. And then say I want the Splinter Cell NTSC, which is what I use. You're going to find the one, whatever. You're just going to find whatever game you want on here, whatever you're going to be using. You're going to right-click, extract to, and then SID 511, blah, blah, blah. And then that's going to create this folder, and then you're going to get the installer itself, same way, right-click, extract to, and it'll create that folder for you. Once you have those folders, you're going to open up Explorer 360, which I believe that this will only work on a Windows machine, unfortunately, so you're going to have to use that. Won't work on Linux or Mac, I don't think, since the program was for Windows. Let's see, I already have it open. And you're going to click Drive, and then you're going to click Open Hard Drive or Mem card, and you should see it probably as partition 0. And then what you're going to do is open up both of the, or you just one at a time. Go to UData, and then you're going to see this folder, just with a bunch of letters and numbers on it. And then you're going to just drag that into, once you have partition 0 highlighted, you're just going to drag that into here, and it'll start copying it. Then you're going to do the same thing for the installer. Just click, open up the folder marked UData, and the first folder that's just like letters and numbers, you're going to drag it into here. And the Splinter Cell, or whatever save file, shouldn't be that long, but the installer itself is going to be a while. So it's not going to be something you're just going to sit and watch and be done in 10 minutes, you know, leave it for like a half an hour, and then just come back to it. But anyways, once it looks like this, just going to go drive, exit, and then you can just eject the drive or pull it out of your computer, and we're going to go back to the Xbox. Alright, so plug it into the controller cable and the Xbox, go to memory, controller 2, and we see there's the installer, and there's the Splinter Cell NTSC corrupted save. So I'm going to be copying it. Copy that over. That's kind of weird, the one save says it's corrupted, so this should probably gonna take a while. It's a lot of blocks, but I'll just come back to it when it's done. Alright, so just check the Xbox hard disk and HDD in there, and there they both are, so they copied over successfully. Now what we're going to do is put in Splinter Cell, of course the Platinum Hits version, like I said, and see if we can use that to soft mod it. Alright, there it goes. One small step for man, one giant leap for those too lazy, poor, and or impatient to find a black label copy of Splinter Cell. Okay, start game. There's Linux, there's the corrupted save on there. Press A on checkpoints. Should go black for a little bit, then we should see the installer if everything went right. So there we go. Alright, so that just proves that we can use the Platinum Hits version of Splinter Cell to do a soft mod. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, at least in America. I don't know, the whole myth might have stemmed from, you know, maybe a PAL copy. It's not the same in PAL regions, but at least for an NTSC copy of Splinter Cell, NTSC U, not NTSC J, you know, yeah, you can use that. Anyway, now we're going to select backup / restore features, create EEPROM backup, sorry. Loading. Backup EEPROM, backing up, smiley face, then go back. No. Back to main menu. And we're going to go store features, create, whoops, MS backup. Yeah, I'd never softmodded this Xbox before, so. I'll just cut to where it finishes. Alright, finished, press OK to continue, we do that. So I'm just gonna back up the C drive real quick. Alright, I'm gonna install a dual boot softmod, even though you could do a single boot if you wanted to. So the top one will allow you to boot to the hack dash, press the power button, and this softmod menu, SID the Softmod Installer Deluxe, by pressing eject in case you ever needed to use it again. And the hack dash, in the second one, would just install the hack dash and the regular Microsoft dash, which really isn't all that useful today. It would have been useful back when Xbox Live was still a thing. You wanted to use like a retail dashboard just to prevent getting banned from Xbox Live, I guess. But I'm just going to do the top one, and we'll just do standard, and I'm going to install Unleash X. And now we just wait for it to install. Looks like it's going by pretty quick. Alright, Softmod is successfully installed. You must now turn off your Xbox in order for the installation to complete. Do you wish to shut down now? Yes. Alright, so it's turned off, and I decided just to take the disk out, just because I tried to just boot it straight into the game, and I want to see the new dashboard. There it is. There's Unleashed X. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's how you softmodded. I played around with Unleashed X for a bit, and then decided it was finally time to flash the TSOP. Alright, I successfully put this TSOP into a writable mode, and you may be wondering what TSOP is, and that's this little chip right here. They were made by a few different manufacturers throughout the lifespan of the Xbox. But this particular one was made by ST. They are a European company, I believe. And what this actually is, it's a little it's a little flash storage chip. This one right here, I believe, is 1 megabyte. They were 1 megabyte on the 1.0 and 1.1 model Xboxes, and then a smaller amount, I think 256 or 512 kilobytes on the 1.2 to 1.5 revision Xboxes. And this is just where the BIOS is stored. So we want to be able to flash that with a custom BIOS. So we can do things like install a larger hard drive, for example. It's necessary to do this. You can't just do it with it being soft modded. And the way you make it writable is just by bridging a couple points on the board. So right there, you can see that big glob of solder. You have to bridge that point, R7D3. It's not a very good solder job at all. I don't really kind of know what happened there. And then there's another 2 points over here. I got this, burned this pad a little bit, but this little rubber thing. But you can see the job is a lot cleaner right there. So yeah. And I think that's all I'm gonna do for right now. As far as hardware, so I'm gonna replace the hard drive with a bigger hard drive later, probably tomorrow when the computer store opens, because I heard of a place you can get them for fairly cheap, old IDE drives. So I'm just gonna reassemble it now back up to the hard drive. So with the hardware set up for a TSOP flash, it was time to set up the software. I downloaded this copy of Hexen and burned it to a disk, and now it's running on the Xbox. So going to run TSOP flash here, of course, flash the TSOP, and I don't have a WinBond, so that'll be the one that we'll choose. Alright, here's the screen being presented with now, so I'm going to choose flash 256K BIOS, and just go down here, Evo X M8 plus F and G. I think F and G is like if you're going to replace the hard drive, and then F only so you kind of keep the original, but I don't know. But either way, I'm just gonna do that one. Press Y to flash BIOS, press Y. Said the Xbox would turn off, and sure enough the Xbox just turned off, so I'm going to turn it on. First time since the mod. And there's the custom flash screen. With eject hexen though. So yeah, there we go. Alright, I used config magic to unlock this hard drive, and I just bought this today from the computer store. It is a 200 gigabyte IDE drive, just like the one in the Xbox. It was only $16, so I think that's not bad. So yeah, I'm just going to take this one out, just put it in, connect it up, and with any luck, the Xbox should detect it and offer to format it, since this one's modded. You know, stock Xbox of course wouldn't do that, but you know, and if not, I'll try something else. I'm not really too worried about anything on this drive, just other people's game saves and a copy of Splinter Cell that I ripped from my disk is on here, so nothing I couldn't just replace on this very easily. And of course, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna make sure it's unplugged. Alright, so I disconnected the cables and got it out of the Xbox. You may think it's like these 6 little screws here that you need to take out to release the hard drive from this little case, but it's actually, should be 2 on either side, those. So I'm going to remove those to free the hard drive. Alright, I successfully installed the drive back in the Xbox, connected it up, and plugged the Xbox back in. So now we're going to turn it on, see what we get. There's once again our service required, call customer support. Maybe if I boot into Hexen instead. So I put the Hexen disk, the burnt Hexen disk, into the drive, and after I booted up, it went to this unleash access, hit a new hard disk. You want to format your new drive. There you go. Warning: all data on non-removable disk will be lost. Yeah. So formatting. Do you have drive F? All right. Unleash access. Finish preparing your new drive. Press both triggers and the start button to continue. All right. So it sat on that screen for a while, but just like it hung. I was kind of worried for a minute, but yeah. Anyways, now it's all good. It was done in 30 seconds to maybe 45 seconds. But anyways, yeah, this Hexen, what I need to do is go to tsop flash, then go to chip / flash Xbox disk upgrade, new disk, NTSC Xbox, AYBX. I don't know why that password is on there, or I didn't set it. I don't even know how to remove it at the moment, but I know the password, so it's not a big deal. So blah blah blah. Yeah, it's not Softmod, it's hardmodded. We're good there. Okay, I gotta go through the formatting again, apparently. Yeah. Alright, so after it formats it again, we get the same old unleash access. Finish preparing your new drive. Press both triggers and the start button to continue. And that was a lot faster than last time, where it just sat there for like a minute. But anyways, now it's just gonna do some stuff, so I'll just cut to the end of this. Alright, so it's finished and it just automatically opened up XD Partitioner. So what I'm going to do is just press A to cycle through. Then I get 178.86 gigabytes, which is fine. Just hit start. Warning, change partitioners will be formatted. Press Y to continue. And press Y. And then now we're just going to go back and press the other button to quit. A is fine. And now with any luck at all, it should just boot into Unleashed X. No, it just went back to Hexen. So I'm just going to take the Hexen disk out of the Xbox, restart it, and then hopefully we should get the dashboard back. Yep, went straight to Unleashed X. So I'm going to have to change some settings, like how it cuts off some of the things around the corners, but I don't have to change the date and stuff. But looks like I've done pretty much everything I started to do with this Xbox. There were some other mods I'd like to try with my own. This is just a spare I've been doing today, but yeah, I'm just going to put it back together again and just show the finished product. Alright, here's the Xbox. I'll put it back together again. Let's See, it's kind of clean. Did go over it a little bit, but you know, it's not. You can see there's some dirt and stuff here. It's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for this video. So thanks for watching.